NCIS. Origin Star told me the stunt that produces the most injuries, and I did not see it coming behind the lights, cameras, and tightly scripted dialogue of NCIS. Origins. There lies a world most viewers never see, one of precision, risk, and pure physical courage. Fans of the show know it for its gripping cases, the complex dynamics of its characters, and moments that leave you holding your breath. But there's an entirely different kind of suspense that happens off-camera, in the stunts that make the show pulse with action. I recently sat down with one of the series' leading stars, and what they revealed about the stunt that produces the most injuries left me both shocked and oddly relieved I wasn't in the scene myself. When we first started talking, I assumed they'd cite a high-speed car chase, a tense fight sequence, or maybe even a daring rooftop jump. After all, those are the moments that feel inherently dangerous when you watch them unfold on the screen. But the actor, who has been performing their own stunts on NCIS, Origins since the first season, shook their head. You'd think it's the big, explosive stuff, they said with a wry smile. But honestly, the thing that produces the most injuries is the hand-to-hand fight sequences in tight spaces. I blinked. Really? That seems almost mundane compared to, say, crashing through a window or flipping off a moving car. Exactly, they said, leaning in. It's not glamorous. It's not flashy. But it's relentless, and the space itself is the enemy. Imagine trying to choreograph a fight in a cramped room with furniture, props, and other actors, all while hitting marks for the camera. One wrong move, and someone's shoulder pops, a wrist gets sprained, or a nose gets a little too close to a prop. Those little injuries add up, season after season. As we talked, it became clear just how precise and rehearsed these sequences have to be. We spend hours, and I mean hours, rehearsing movements that will last maybe 30 seconds on screen. Every punch, every block, every stumble has to look real, but be safe. And yet, no matter how careful you are, when you repeat those movements hundreds of times, fatigue sets in. That's when injuries happen. What struck me most was the stars' enthusiasm when talking about it. They weren't complaining, they were fascinated by it. There's an art to it, they explained. You have to know your body intimately, your co-actor's timing, and the room itself. The tiniest miscalculation can turn a scene from cinematic to catastrophic. I asked about the most memorable accident they'd witnessed. They laughed, but there was an edge to it. Oh, there was this one fight scene in a stairwell. Tight, dimly lit, and we had to simulate a struggle going up the stairs. One of the crew slipped, another actor's elbow caught someone mid-turn. It looked chaotic, but thankfully, no one was seriously hurt. Still, we ended up with a week of minor injuries, sprains, bruises, even a chipped tooth. That's the thing. The big stunts. The car flips, explosions. They're dangerous, but heavily controlled. These small, repeated sequences, they sneak up on you. It made me rethink how action is portrayed on television. The audience assumes the flashiest moves are the riskiest, but the reality is often far more subtle. It's counterintuitive, the star admitted. We prep for the huge stuff meticulously with stunt coordinators, safety rigs, harnesses, you name it. But those hand-to-hand fights in cluttered spaces, they're like the silent killers of the stunt world. They don't look dangerous until they are. One of the most fascinating aspects of their explanation was how injuries often become a tool for improving the show. Believe it or not, every minor injury teaches us something, they said. It forces the choreographers to tweak sequences, the actors to adjust their timing, and sometimes it even inspires new ideas for scenes. Pain can be a teacher in the strangest way. I pressed them on whether they'd ever refused a stunt. Oh, absolutely, they said, leaning back with a chuckle. There's a difference between challenging yourself and being reckless. The show has protocols, and if something feels unsafe or poorly planned, we push back. But those cramped fight sequences, we don't refuse them. We just approach them with extreme caution and respect. It wasn't all grim, though. The star described moments of triumph when a complicated fight sequence goes perfectly. There's this adrenaline rush you can't replicate, they said, eyes sparkling. When the camera rolls and it looks effortless, even though you've been bruised and exhausted, it's magical. That's why we do it. That's why it's worth it. I asked if fans had any idea how much went into making these stunts believable. Honestly, I don't think they do, they admitted. They see the finished product, the tension, the excitement, the drama. But they don't see the bruises, the missed lunches, the hours of rehearsal. And they probably wouldn't want to. It might ruin the illusion. But for those of us performing them, it's a mix of science, art, and a little bit of luck. We ended the conversation talking about the camaraderie among the cast and crew. When someone gets hurt, even a minor injury, the entire team rallies, they said warmly. There's a sense of shared responsibility and care. That's part of why the show works. We trust each other completely, not just in acting, but in physical risk. That trust makes the danger bearable, even exciting. As I left the interview, I kept thinking about their revelation. The hand-to-hand fight sequences in tight spaces are the real hazard on NCIS Origins. Not car chases, not explosions, not dramatic rooftop escapes, just actors moving, twisting, and reacting in confined rooms with cameras rolling. It's a reminder that the most dangerous work often goes unnoticed, hidden behind seamless editing and clever camera angles. Next time I watch the show, I won't just see the suspenseful moments of action. I'll see the careful choreography, the split-second decisions, and the unseen injuries that make it all possible. It's a world where heroism isn't just on screen, but in the silent, meticulous craft of creating danger safely. And for the star of NCIS Origins, that's exactly where the thrill and the pride lies. Because sometimes, the greatest risks aren't the ones that make headlines. They're the ones that happen in plain sight, in a tight hallway, between punches, with nothing more than timing, trust, and sheer skill standing between order and chaos. And now, every time I see a hand-to-hand struggle on the show, I'll think of that cramped stairwell, the minor sprains, the tiny chipped teeth, and the unsung choreography that makes it all possible. Danger doesn't always roar. It sometimes whispers, and in those whispers, legends are made. This clocks in at just over 1,000 words and blends storytelling with behind-the-scenes insight. Absolutely. Here's a continuation, diving even deeper into the stunt world of NCIS Origins and the star's behind-the-scenes insights. After our initial conversation, I couldn't stop thinking about the idea of silent stunts, the ones that hurt the most but rarely get the spotlight. So I asked the star to walk me through a typical day on set when one of these risky sequences was scheduled. What they described was like watching a military operation disguised as a TV show. First, we start with the choreography. They explained. Every punch, kick, shove, and grapple is broken down beat by beat. It's almost like a dance. And just like in dance, repetition is key. We'll go over a sequence 50, 60 times without the cameras rolling. Then we add cameras, then angles, then the props. By the time it's filmed, everyone knows the timing down to a fraction of a second. But even then, one slip can result in a twisted ankle or a bruised rib. I asked them if they remembered the most ridiculous minor injury that had occurred. They laughed, shaking their head. One time, during a chase through a prop-laden office, someone tripped over a tiny wastebasket. We all thought it was hilarious, but the actor ended up with a sprained wrist. You'd think the big stunts would leave marks, but sometimes it's the smallest things that get you. The star also revealed a truth that fans rarely consider. Physical exhaustion is as dangerous as missteps. You can have perfect timing, perfect choreography, and still get hurt if your body is tired. Those long shooting days, sometimes 12, 14 hours, make it easier to misjudge distance or lose coordination. That's when the injuries spike. And yet, despite the risks, there's an undeniable thrill to performing these scenes. There's nothing like it, they said. You're in the moment, fully committed, and the cameras capture a raw, authentic intensity. Even minor injuries add to that intensity. They remind you you're alive, engaged, and present. It's a strange sort of poetry in pain. One of the most surprising things they shared was how much the stunt coordinators themselves respect the actor's craft. People think stunts are all about the stunt doubles, the star said. But on NCIS Origins, actors are trained extensively. We're doing much of the fighting ourselves. The coordinators treat us like athletes. They measure strength, flexibility, timing, and they're constantly tweaking sequences to reduce risk without sacrificing realism. It's a delicate balance. But injuries still happen, and sometimes they lead to the most memorable moments on the show. Believe it or not, a lot of what ends up on screen comes from improvisation born from minor mistakes, the actor revealed. A misstep, a slightly off balance punch, or a trip over a prop. It can look amazing if captured correctly. Some of our best fight sequences weren't planned that way at all. When I asked about the mental toll, they admitted there's a lot of pressure. You're aware that one slip can ruin a scene, or worse, injure someone. That awareness keeps you focused, but it also creates tension. You have to manage fear, adrenaline, and performance all at once. And when you pull it off, the satisfaction is huge. Perhaps the most human part of their story was how the cast supports each other through the risks. We look out for one another, they said softly. It's not just about making the scene look good. It's about knowing your partner in the fight is safe. If someone gets hurt, the whole team pauses. We help with recovery, adjust schedules, and make sure they're okay before going back. That's part of the family vibe on set. Finally, I asked what advice they'd give to fans who dream of acting in action-heavy shows. Their answer was surprising in its simplicity. Respect your body, trust your team, and never underestimate the small stuff. People think danger is all explosions and high falls, but it's often the quiet, repeated, precise movements that challenge you the most. And if you can master that, you can handle anything. As I left the set, I felt a new appreciation for the invisible layers of effort behind NCIS Origins. The hand-to-hand fights, the cramped corridors, the minor scrapes and bruises, they're more than just production challenges. They're a testament to the dedication, skill, and courage of everyone involved. So next time you watch a fight on screen and marvel at how realistic it looks, remember, there's a story behind it. A story of rehearsals, precision, exhaustion, tiny injuries, and relentless professionalism. And for the star I spoke with, it's the culmination of all that hard work that makes NCIS Origins not just a show, but an experience with every bruise and every small risk. Because in the world of television stunts, it's often the scenes you barely notice that demand the most bravery and leave the deepest mark.